What up, YouTube? Knowledge is self-determination. So I decided to make this video. Uh now I was watching a different video, and I'll actually go to that video a little bit later. But I just wanted you guys to see I was on this guy's channel. I came from another video. I think it was actually talking about this whole Rich Piana thing. In fact, it was the Watcher Resurrected, yeah, brother from the LDBC. Big up to the Watcher. And this video showed in the list of like videos, that shows up on the side to the right, like you guys can see on the screen right here. And this is the Vegainator. He makes this video basically holding in contrast Rich Piana and Cali Muscle and CT Fletcher, basically saying they use the N-word, so that makes them not racist, while Rich Piana using the N-word makes him a racist. First and foremost, black people don't have to fucking explain shit to white people about using that word. We don't have to explain ourselves on why we use the word. You know what I'm saying? But here it goes, though. Here's a bit of an explanation. Our entire race, especially those of us who use it and quote unquote use the word as a term of endearment, have been brainwashed into using the word. You understand? And the negative connotations that have and stereotypes that have been attached to the word. And I agree with what he said in the video about using the word. We do need to stop using the word and making it a part of our culture. We do need to stop labeling ourselves as degenerates. Basically, all of the negative stereotypes that have been applied to us by a white supremacist racist society, they basically took that word and summed up all of those negative attributes and stereotypes and put it into a word. So when white people use that word against us, they're using it as the negative implications of the word implies. We believe that we've taken power away from the word because we changed the last two letters of the word from an ER to an A. We haven't taken power away from shit. Straight up and down. We have not taken power away from the word. We have done exactly what was intended for us to take that word on and start to refer to ourselves as the negative connotations and stereotypes of that word implies. I mean, think about it. Look at black people as a whole. We actually define ourselves by stereotypes. Literally, because our culture and our history was taken away from us, and all we had left was the negative stereotypes. Now there are those of us who do not identify with the negative stereotypes that have been placed on us and the negative labels. But the rest of us, not the rest of us, but the rest of black people actually identify with the negative imagery of our culture. We identify with the negative stereotypes. We think it's cool to shower ourselves with the negativity. We haven't taken power away from that word. We've done exactly what white supremacy intended for us to do with that word. Create a label for us. Apply negative stereotypes and connotations on that word, and then have us take ownership of that. We haven't done anything with that word. You understand what I'm saying? We haven't done anything with that word. We haven't taken any power away from the word at all. And yes, constantly using the word will make white people say, well, if you can use it, why can't we? And here's the thing. There is a difference between when black people use the word because we believe we have taken the power away from the word. So there is a difference. We believe we've taken the power away from the word, which gives us the right to use it as a term of endearment, as opposed to white people who, when they say to you, nigger, it stings because you know where the NR is really coming from, as opposed to a white dude or a non-black person that would say nigga. Now, that's a person, in my opinion, that believes that they're trying to be down and be cool because they understand and empathize with the culture and associate with black people. They think they've earned the right. You really haven't. But at the same time, black people need to stop using the word too. Because again, we have not taken fucking power away from the word. Now, in this dude's rant, basically this is what I wrote. If you guys ever taken the time to read it, I know people don't like to read. But this is what I say. You are right. And I'm not even going to post a comment on because I realized that I actually started to write a fucking thesis paper. And that's just long as fuck. So instead of writing that long ass comment, I'll make a video response to this. Maybe he'll see it, maybe he doesn't. I don't give a flying fuck because he's a white supremacist. I can give two shits if he sees the video or not. I mean, to be perfectly honest with you. But this is what I said. You're right. Black people do need to stop using that word. No argument there. Your rant about slavery versus indentured servitude, bullshit. Because basically what he said was that indentured servants basically outnumbered slavery in this country. Now, maybe at the beginning, I can't remember the exact year. I believe it was the 1800s when the first slaves were brought to Jamestown, Virginia. Now, at that point, because remember the transatlantic slave trade, they were bringing us from the west coast of Africa down into the Caribbean. They were basically cultivating us down in the Caribbean and breaking our spirits, and then they brought us up here to America, to the North American continent, right? Then they brought us up here to Jamestown, Virginia. That's where the first enslaved black people were brought into this country, Jamestown, Virginia. At that point, yes, there probably were more indentured servants in the country at that time than there were slaves. Let's not get it twisted, because I notice with white supremacy, they like to fudge the fucking numbers and shit. They'll speak on a certain point and extrapolate that certain point in time over the entirety of history, when that's not the fucking case. It's misleading and it's dishonest to do shit like that. And so he's a dishonest motherfucker for doing that. You understand? Indentured servants may have outnumbered black slaves at that particular point in time. And I did a video about symbolism. One of my first videos on YouTube. In fact, let's see if we can pull it up now. Now, while it's loading up, so that was bullshit. Let's see. All of Europe was in on the slave trade, as was the Catholic Church. So no, it wasn't just Jews, because he tried to actually say that Jewish people were the brains behind the transatlantic slave trade. He basically, that's what he's saying. It was only Jews, basically, which is complete and utter fucking bullshit. Only Jews? Get the fuck out of here, man. Oh, and this is the homepage to Knowledge of Self-Determination. For those of you who don't know, that's Mumia Abu-Jamal, a political prisoner, falsely accused of killing a police officer, which is crazy because that seems to happen a lot to our people, being falsely accused of murder. It's not in this one. Sorry about that, guys. But I'll continue to hit on more of this discussion. Let's see. So yeah, he tried to say that now mind you, while Christopher Columbus was a Jew, he was Jewish. You know, Queen Ferdinand and Queen Isabella, I don't know if they were Jews or not, but they were Europeans. The Europeans, period. The entire continent of Europe were in on the slave trade. They were in on it, as was also the Catholic Church, who gave their silent consent of the slave trade. At this point, I'm just showing off my channel to you guys. Sorry about that. But as was the transatlantic slave trade. I'm sorry, I just now fucked myself up. Sorry about that. The continent of Europe. Yeah, that's where it was. The continent of Europe. And the Catholic Church. And yes, Jewish people were in on it also. Yes, they were. I'm not going to deny that either. But to say that it was only Jewish people, that's bullshit. That's some bullshit conspiracy theory stuff. White supremacy does exist. You can believe it or not. I don't give a fuck if you do. Because he was at this point attacking white supremacy or attacking black people for talking about white supremacy, racism, basically saying that it's bullshit, that it doesn't really exist. That's bullshit. The fact that we existed in a country that at the the Emancipation Proclamation and then the 13th Amendment, 1865 would actually free the slaves, because the Emancipation Proclamation didn't free slaves. The 13th Amendment actually abolished slavery, or rather made slavery illegal unless it's for conviction of a crime. But it made private ownership, that's funny, I guess personal ownership of slaves illegal, right? And then immediately after that, we get Jim Crow and the fucking Ku Klux Klan for the next 100 years, right? For the next 100 years. But the only thing out of those two things that were actually eradicated was Jim Crow. Because the Klan hasn't gone anywhere, right? So, bullshit. To say that, and then to say that the indentured servants suffered more than black people, than the black slaves, bullshit. Get the fuck out of here. How many indentured servants were having their fucking feet chopped off? Me and one of my cousins, he actually sent in a blood sample to Ancestry.com and actually got more of our family history back. We actually had an aunt, this was, and she and I believe it was her children or her sister or brother's children that were actually the first children born free in my family on my great grandmother's side of the family, right? But she was a grown up during the Emancipation Proclamation and the signing of the 13th Amendment into the Constitution. She was a slave. She tried to escape and had her fucking foot cut off. Yeah. So bullshit. How many times? I'm saying that it didn't happen to indentured servants, but here's the difference between indentured servitude and slavery. Slavery, you are property. Your children are property, and your children's children are property of your master. Indentured servitude is for a limited time only. You get to go free after a 5 to 7 year period. So fuck you, Vegainator, for your whack ass version of history. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But here we go with the video. Here we go. What do you know about symbolism? That was the video. That was the first video that I did, and that actually talks about a lot of facts about the Constitution, especially dealing with slavery in it. Sorry it took me so long to find that. Now, let's see. Only 2% of the population owns slaves. I already addressed that. It's still, and that's basically my response to that. Okay, give him the benefit of the doubt and say he was right about the 2%. It's still fucking wrong. You can't minimize slavery in over 400 years of fucking servitude by justifying it with or minimizing it with the statement, oh, it was only 2% of the population that owned slaves. 2% of the world population or 2% of the American population? Because he never quite actually touched on that. So again, this is how white supremacy bamboozles you and flim-flams you with false information, partial facts, partial information, mind you. Tell the whole fucking truth, because he claims to be telling the whole truth when in fact he's not. He is upholding white supremacy racism by miseducating you on shit. You understand what I'm saying? He's miseducating you on shit. That and I'm gonna drop something on y'all. This is something that white supremacy knows. You understand? This is how you confuse people with facts. You can have a whole paragraph full of lies, but if you have 1 or 2 sentences in that paragraph that are truth, you can kind of substantiate your claims with a little bit of truth surrounded by a mountain of fucking lies. At least, or not even substantiate, I guess, confuse and miseducate people with your lies by giving them just a little bit of truth. Because he's only pointing out little bits and pieces of an argument and trying to make claims on an argument that he obviously has no fucking idea about. Now let's see, the 100 years of Jim Crow, yeah, and this is what I told him. You can shut the fuck up with that bullshit rant about indentured servants being treated worse than slaves. While I can admit that you make some points, it's obvious that you are an agent of white supremacy and an enemy to black people. Your race are the only people that have traveled the world and eradicated entire races of people off the planet. And this is fucking true. While he's trying to argue for the benevolent nature of white people, perfect example, Tasmania. While the Isle of Tasmania has been populated, it has been repopulated. When Europeans originally went to that part of the world, New Zealand, Australia, Tasmania, that the land's down under, they went to the island of Tasmania and they killed every single fucking Tasmanian. Now, I don't think you guys understand the gravity of this. Tasmania was an island, separate from Australia, separate from New Zealand, which are all 3 separate entities. They went to this island, and all of the original or aboriginal inhabitants of that island, the fucking British Crown gave their soldiers the right to eliminate every single fucking Tasmanian. I mean, every single one of them, every man, woman, and child. They were instructed that they could treat these people, living, breathing, sentient beings, people like you and me, as flora and fauna, basically plants and animals. The same way you would clear out a forest by cutting down trees, you can clear out this land by cutting down all the Negroes there. That's what they did. And the last remaining Tasmanian male, they kept him alive and put him in cages, sent him back to fucking Europe, England, whatever the fuck, UK, send him back there as a fucking exhibit in a zoo. Are you fucking kidding me, man? Are you kidding me? Again, this is no hatred to white people. These are the fucking facts. If you can't handle that shit, then that's your fucking problem, not mine. But these are the fucking facts. You want me to ignore the fact that you are a part of a race that has eradicated entire races of people off of this fucking planet and want to claim your benevolence with me? Man, get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. If you sub to the Vegainator, you're a fucking idiot, just like he is. You're a white racist piece of shit, or you're just a white supremacist, period. If you listen to this shit, agree with what the fuck he has to say, get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. Fuck him and fuck you. Sorry, I don't mean to, sound so angry, but I am angry. Fuck it. Let's see. But if that's okay for you to minimize our experience in this country that your ancestors stole, go fuck yourself. There are still still color codes and color curfews in this country. Because now at this point, he's complaining about black people, complaining about white supremacy, racism. In Mississippi, they still have fucking color codes. Yes, they still have color codes. Phil from the Advice Show did something on this. Yes, he did. Now I don't know if I'm going to actually be able to find that particular video. I'd love to be able to find it right away. And I'm probably not, because he's done a lot of videos since. Or was it Cynthia G? But yeah, in Mississippi, there are still color codes in Mississippi. Still color codes. Like, how about this one? Fucking senator basically saying that lawmakers should be lynched for removing Confederate monuments. If you are a person who believes in the premise of the Confederation, you are a fucking white supremacist, right? Or what about Reverend Al Green, who is being threatened with with being lynched because he's seeking impeachment for Donald Trump? And you want to tell me that white supremacy isn't behind this shit? When we live in a country where a white person can actually do some shit like that and not be brought up on fucking charges. Not be brought up on charges at all. And you telling me white supremacy isn't behind that shit at all? Man, fuck you. Seriously, fuck you. You honestly believe that white supremacy doesn't exist when we live in a fucking country that will ignore white people sending death threats to fucking black Americans who work in fucking government? Or what about the black lawyer, the black female lawyer who got a noose sent to her in the mail because of her practice of the law? Here we go. Florida State Attorney Aramis Ayala threatened and sent a noose in the mail because they can't find out who the fuck sent that noose, right? Get the fuck out of here, man. Get the fuck out of here. Only in a country full of white supremacy can a bitch like Bill O'Reilly not be crucified in public for his mistreatment of women, but we can send Bill Cosby to trial and crucify and assassinate his character. Get the fuck out of here. Man, come on. Seriously? White supremacy doesn't fucking exist? It doesn't exist? Or what about these guys? The two cops that accidentally killed this kid here. This innocent kid. Two black cops. And accidentally killed this kid because this motherfucker, his father, decided that he was going to go on some tirade, beat the shit out of his girlfriend, try to run over cops, ran their cars. And mind you, he did all this shit evading, running from them. And they didn't open fire on him once until he actually almost killed them. Then they opened fire on him. Unbeknownst to them, the kid was in the back seat and got struck by a straight bullet when it should have been the fucking father. These cops get 40 years. They get 40 fucking years for this, right? 40 years. 40 years for accidentally killing this cop or killing this kid, right? Now, oh man, I can't remember this story, man. Here we go, right here. Here we go. Ayanna Stanley. Killed by a cop. Cops raided her grandmother's house. Kicked in the door, raided her grandmother's house. Grandmother told the cops that it was just her and the little girl in the house. They went into the room where the little girl was and shot her in the fucking head. And the cop got off. And you telling me that is not white supremacy? That is not a system of white supremacy? Here it is right here. Melanated cop sentenced to 40 years for shooting this little boy. Little girl, cop shoots her in the fucking head. Gets set free. You telling me that white supremacy has nothing to do with that? Man, go fuck yourself, man. Especially when we have white people like the honorable and respected Jane Elliott, who is telling you that this shit exists. What this kid here is basically exhibiting to you guys is cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance. You know what I'm saying? He'll see the whole truth and minimize it, scale it back, and then tell his version of the truth. Cognitive dissonance at its fucking finest by this kid here. Let's see. color codes. I couldn't find the episodes with the color codes in Mississippi. Let's see. Up until the beginning of the new year, yeah, there were still segregated schools in this country. In Mississippi, schools that were actually segregated. People are being stopped before they cross the county line of certain communities in I can't remember the exact southern state it was, but actually being pulled over and stopped and carded to see if they actually live in that community. And if not, they get turned away. They can't even enter that fucking county. White supremacy doesn't exist, man. Get the fuck out of here, man. Get the fuck out of here. Seriously. Fuck out of here with that bullshit. And let's see. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Let's see. Color curfews. Let's see. Up until the beginning of white supremacist hate groups are on a rise. And unlike the Black Panther and civil rights movement, the mostly white government of America does not seem fit or willing to get rid of these domestic terrorist organizations. And that is fucking true. Because there was a concerted effort put into eradicating the leadership of the Black Power movement, the Black Panther movement, and the civil rights movement. There was a concerted effort by the American government to get rid of these organizations, which only seek to protect and defend the black community, while the racist ass neo-Nazi skinheads and fucking Ku Klux Klan have been allowed to thrive and flourish in this country. And so much so that a lot of our police officers and a lot of police stations across the country belong to some of these racist ass organizations. If you don't believe it, do the fucking research. Why else? I mean, we have a white supremacist as the fucking president. And just conveniently, after he was inaugurated, he stopped the FBI from actually investigating the influx of domestic terrorists, i.e. Ku Klux Klan and or white supremacist neo-Nazi group or organization members from in their influx into the fucking police departments in America. The FBI was actually investigating domestic terrorists, basically. And those investigations were forced to be ceased, halted by your president, Donald Trump, right? Get the fuck out of here, man. Seriously, get the fuck out of here. I'm not going to post as long as, because it's long as shit. In fact, you know what? Fuck it. I just posted it and y'all just seen me post it. Fuck him. But yo, real talk. Seriously, and this is no bullshit. And I'm not trying to diss anybody white. In order to get rid of a problem, we need to bring that problem to the fucking forefront. We need to bring the problem out into the fucking open because it's the only way to get rid of it. It's the only way to make white people even own up to the shit. It's thrust the shit in their fucking faces, but it's not gonna fucking happen. I mean, they're going to constantly have a certain level of cognitive dissonance and denial about the fact that white supremacy racism exists. And you know what? That's okay. That's okay. It's okay. They can do whatever the fuck they want. Like this racist motherfucker. Like this racist bitch. Goes on a train, stabs 2 dudes, kills 1. Stabs 3 dudes, and 1 of them died. Yeah. But what about this white motherfucker attacking black people with a fucking machete? What about her racist white ass? Man, get the fuck out of here. You telling me white supremacy does not fucking exist? Oh, man, look, man, listen. I'm going to go ahead and end the video. But listen, this dude is full of fucking shit. He's full of fucking shit. While he did make some valiant points, he is giving you false information, partial facts. Don't believe the bullshit. I'm not keeping his face on screen because I don't want to look at this motherfucker. But don't believe the bullshit, man. Don't believe the bullshit. Rich Piana is a racist piece of fucking shit. Fuck him. Fuck him, real talk. But yes, black people, yes, we do need to change our narrative. We do need to stop using that word. I totally agree. Most black people that I know, at least most conscious black people, try not to use that word around mixed company. I've been guilty of using the word too, but I try very hard. I make a concerted effort to eradicate that word out of my vocabulary. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want kids that grow up around me, come up around me, any kids that I may mentor or whatever, to think that it's appropriate to use that word and refer to themselves as that word. Because I understand, I remember when I was younger and the look that older black people would have on their faces when we would be out in public using that word. It would be a look of such shame and disgrace that I felt embarrassed when I would look at them and notice that they were looking at us in complete disgust. I felt embarrassed. And so I made it a point from that point forward that if I'm going to use the word, I'm not going to use it in mixed company. I'm not going to disrespect older people, people who came from the Black Power and Civil Rights Movement era, people who existed in the Jim Crow era, because their experience with the word is far worse than mine. Yes, I've experienced white supremacy racism. Yes, I have experienced it. Without a fucking doubt, I've experienced it. You know what I'm saying? However, not to the degree that many of our ancestors have experienced it. I can honestly say that I have not experienced it to that degree. And I will not allow myself to actually disrespect any older black person with that word. So I refrain from using it around them. You know what I'm saying? Because I have that much respect for them. So I don't use it. I don't use the word around white people. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't say that word around white people. And I don't want you saying it around me because I don't want them to think it's okay for them to use the word. You understand? In fact, for the most part, I said, honestly, I can't even remember the last time I actually said the word and used it in conversation at all. You know what I'm saying? Maybe to myself, referring to someone as that, but not just a black person. But anyway, there's no justification for that shit. I've been slowly eradicating the word from my vocabulary, and I would suggest that all black people do the same. It's going to be hard to let go of the word because we believe that we've done something. We haven't taken any fucking power from that word. That's like saying, I took that cyanide and I took the power away from it by not giving it to you, but giving it to this guy right. Get the fuck out of here. If I take the D off of cyanide, I turn it into something else. No, the poisonous effects of it are still there. You just transpose letters to give it a different meaning, but the effect is still the same. The same thing with the word. You transpose letters at the end of a word to ineffectively take the power away from the word, but you didn't. You didn't transfer. You all you did was transpose letters. You know what I'm saying? You just gave the word an additional usage. You didn't change the original usage of the word. You gave it a new usage, which still, in effect, is derived from the old usage of the word. Anyway, I'm not going to get into all of that. Stop using the word black people, seriously. Stop using the word. I mean, real talk. We don't owe white people an explanation for using it. We really don't. But in order for us to change the way we see ourselves, I think it's important that something as important as not saying that word actually happens. Because we need to change the way we see ourselves. We need to change the way we deal with each other and our communities. So maybe not using that word and referring to each other as that can actually begin the process of changing how we view and see each other. It's just a thought. Let me know what you guys think. Fuck the Vegainator.